You look in the mirror every morning and see a cosmetic trait, a simple splash of genetic paint that dictates whether you buy earth-toned sweaters or silver jewelry. You have been sold a comfortable, domesticated lie about your own anatomy. The color of your eyes is not a mere aesthetic accident, it is a biological shield. It is a brutal, unforgiving map of human survival, charting exactly where your ancestors walked, how they suffered, and what the sky looked like when they fought to stay alive. The iris is an intricate tapestry of muscle and pigment, but at its core, it is a masterclass in the physics of light. Every time you open your eyes, you are deploying a deeply specific evolutionary adaptation designed to manage the relentless radiation of the star at the center of our solar system. Your physical body is the primary artifact of an epic journey. To understand the magnitude of this, you must travel back to the cradle of humanity. Imagine the sprawling, sun-scorched savannas of ancient Africa. The environment was not a backdrop, it was a daily predator. The equatorial sun hurled massive, unrelenting amounts of ultraviolet radiation down upon early humans. In this brutal theater of survival, brown eyes were not just common, they were mandatory. They were the original human blueprint. Brown eyes are packed with a dense, microscopic fortress of melanin, the exact same heavy pigment that darkened your ancestors' skin. When harsh, blinding light strikes a dark brown iris, the melanin acts as an absolute sponge. It absorbs the photon energy, pulling the radiation into the pigment and neutralizing it before it can pierce through to fry the delicate, light-sensitive retina at the back of the eye. Brown eyes are the ultimate evolutionary armor. They are the biological equivalent of a blast shield, engineered over hundreds of thousands of years to ensure early humans could track prey across the blistering plains without being blinded by the glare of a hostile sky. But here's the mystery. If brown eyes are the perfect optical defense system, why would the human body ever dare to discard it? Why would humanity strip away its own armor? The answer lies in the restless, desperate instinct to migrate. As your ancestors pushed out of the warm cradle of the equator, they walked relentlessly northward. They fractured into nomadic tribes, crossing vast, jagged mountain ranges and stepping into a radically alien world. The northern latitudes of Europe were a freezing, gloomy expanse. The sun became a scarce, highly coveted resource hidden behind months of heavy cloud cover and brutally long winter nights. The heavy melanin shield was no longer an advantage, it was a liability. Somewhere along the dark, freezing coast of the Black Sea, roughly 10,000 years ago, a single human being was born with a massive genetic glitch. A mutation in the OCA2 gene effectively acted as a biological switch, shutting off the body's ability to produce melanin in the iris. The armor was stripped away entirely. This was the birth of the blue eye. But you probably think blue eyes have blue pigment in them. They don't. There is absolutely no blue pigment in the human body. Instead, this genetic mutation hacked the physics of light. Without melanin to absorb the sun, light enters a blue iris, collides with the microscopic fibers of the stroma, and scatters. The longer, warmer wavelengths pass through, while the shorter blue wavelengths are violently bounced back out into the world. It is the exact same optical illusion Rayleigh scattering that makes the sky look blue. When you look into the eyes of someone with blue eyes, you are literally looking at scattered light. It was a rapid, explosive adaptation to a dark world, allowing maximum light to enter the retina in the gloom of the northern winters. As we track these ancient, mutated bloodlines further across the frozen continents, if you are fascinated by the hidden history written inside your own body, take a second to subscribe to the channel so we can keep exploring it together, because the interplay of light and melanin did not stop mutating. The human genome is relentless. It began to produce ghosts. Gray eyes emerged as a haunting, extreme low-light adaptation. They operate on the exact same structural absence of melanin as blue eyes, but the architecture of the eye itself shifted. The stroma of a gray eye is packed with larger, denser deposits of collagen. This changes the physics. Instead of Rayleigh scattering, gray eyes trigger a phenomenon known as Mie scattering, where all wavelengths of light are dispersed evenly. The result is a steel-like, diffuse scattering effect. Gray eyes do not pull the color of the sky, they pull the color of the storm. They read as emotionally neutral, reflecting a stark, almost icy psychological distance. They are the eyes of ancient maritime navigators and Ice Age survivors, built to capture whatever meager ambient light existed in a world locked in permafrost. And here's what makes it truly unique: the evolutionary sweet spot. Green eyes. They represent a staggering genetic tightrope walk occurring in barely 2% of the global population. Green eyes are the result of an unstable, exquisite chemical cocktail. The body attempts to rebuild the melanin shield but fails to produce the heavy dark pigment of its African origins. Instead, it generates a strange yellowish pigment called lipochrome. When this pale yellow dust mixes with the blue Rayleigh scattering of the unpigmented stroma, physics blends them perfectly into green. It is an optical illusion masking an evolutionary compromise. Throughout European history, this rare instability made green eyes the target of deep superstition. They were associated with folklore, mythical entities, and the burning pyres of witchcraft. Society feared what it could not genetically categorize, yet biologically green eyes offered adaptive flexibility, enough pigment to offer slight protection from the sun, but light enough to function in the shadowed, dense forests of the Celtic and Germanic lands. They appear mossy in shadow and vividly emerald in the sunlight, completely at the mercy of their environment. This brings us to the ultimate chameleons of the genetic tree: hazel eyes. If brown is a fortress and blue is a window, hazel is a shifting, living boundary. Hazel eyes possess an intermediate, highly concentrated ring of melanin tightly bound around the pupil with a lighter, unpigmented outer rim. Because the melanin is unevenly distributed, hazel eyes literally change their appearance based on the ambient light of the room you are standing in, the color of the shirt you are wearing, and even the dilation of your pupil. They are evolutionary versatility made flesh, shifting seamlessly from rich brown to radiant green. They are the genetic footprint of colliding worlds, representing the exact moment when the deep ancestral bloodlines of the southern equators met and mingled with the pale mutations of the north. They are a biological mood ring, shifting with the survival needs of the present moment. Then there are the predators: amber eyes, pure, undiluted lipochrome. While green eyes mix this yellow pigment with scattered blue light, amber eyes contain no scattering effect whatsoever. The stroma is entirely dominated by an intense, stable golden hue. It is an incredibly rare, piercing stare in humans, but it is deeply familiar in the wild. You see this exact genetic expression in wolves, eagles, owls, and big cats. It carries an undeniable animalistic intensity. In the realm of psychological signaling, an amber gaze feels untamed, projecting a raw, apex predator focus that unnerves the observer. It is a stunning reminder that before we were builders of cities, we were creatures of the wild, relying on nonverbal intensity to establish dominance and survive in the brush. Yet, for all this mutation, the ancestral pull of the equator remains fierce. When humans populate regions of extreme lethal solar intensity, the body responds with the void. True black eyes don't exist. There is no biological mechanism for a perfectly black iris. What you are witnessing is simply brown melanin pushed to its absolute maximum density, an iris so heavily fortified, so densely packed with pigment, that it entirely consumes the light. It is an illusion of black, a genetic necessity for survival in environments where the sun would literally blind a less protected eye. And occasionally, the genetic code simply fractures. Heterochromia, the disruption of symmetry, a genetic anomaly where the melanin distribution instructions fail, leaving one eye heavily armored and the other stripped bare. It is the chimera effect, a walking testament to the fragile, chaotic nature of cellular reproduction. Before we get to the end, drop a comment and tell me what color your eyes are, and if they match this history. Because the next time you walk into your bathroom and look in the mirror, you must abandon the idea that you are merely looking at a reflection. You are looking at the culmination of a brutal, victorious genetic lottery. Every single one of your ancestors had to survive. They survived famines that wiped out civilizations. They survived the encroaching ice sheets of the Paleolithic era. They survived plagues, apex predators, and the crushing weight of the equatorial sun, all to successfully pass down an incredibly specific, mathematically precise combination of melanin and light. Your eye color is not just a pigment. It is a frozen record of thousands of years of human endurance. It is the exact measure of light your bloodline required to find their way through the dark. You are the living, breathing result of humanity's refusal to go extinct, carrying the entire epic of human migration right there, woven beautifully into the center of your eyes.